Welcome back. It's 8:07 on News Talk 107.9. It's a Thursday. And would like to welcome U.S. Senator Jim Risch joining us from Washington, D.C. this morning. Senator, always good to hear your voice. And things are lively in Washington still.
Yeah, they are. As you know, I've been doing this a while, and the velocity here is something to behold. No one's ever seen. And there's a reason for it, too. The media never picks up on this. But, when Trump left the White House 4 years ago, they went down the road. They didn't go away. They went down the road and opened a new shop. They were true believers and believed they were coming back, and they started preparing for it. And as frequently happens when you have a term in office like this, leave and you're not ready to leave, you haven't got done what you want done. Well, these guys decided they were going to get ready for the next four, and that's what they've done, and that's why you're seeing the kind of momentum you're seeing here, plus Trump's personality in addition.
Well, we're definitely seeing that velocity. He's in the Middle East right now and making various historic and momentous stops, making deals. There's even rumor that he might stop by the Ukraine-Russia talks, and certainly Marco Rubio is there as Secretary of State. Give us a really quick, brief summary of your take on President Trump's Middle East trip.
Well, obviously, it's been historic. I mean, what he does over there is fly the American flag the way we like it flown, and that is we are a powerful but yet restrained country that wants to make relationships with other countries that work for them and work for us. And he loves making. If there's money involved in a deal, he loves to make a deal. When he says America first, that isn't a bumper sticker with him. He believes it, and he tries to make these arrangements to where America does come out on top of it, because he's right in the fact that we've been taken advantage of for a long, long time, and he wants to right that. So he look. This is absolutely historic what he's doing over there, and I'm not so sure that the Russian-Ukraine situation is going to be a great and glorious victory. Russia is not showing that it wants to play ball in this thing, and frankly, I'm a little surprised that Trump has been as patient with this as he has. Putin's been pushing the envelope on him, and with Trump, that's a really, really bad idea.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we could dive deeper into that, but first, you were mentioning the America First is not a bumper sticker. We've felt some pain with the tariffs, but Trump did a 90-day trade deal with China. I would love to have your take on that. Do you think it can extend past that 90 days? And is it going to be enough relief that we continue with these positive economic numbers that we have been seeing?
Yeah, really good question. Something that we could spend an hour talking about. But look, when he started down the road on this trade issue, back here people were saying, there's going to be some pain and it's going to take some time to work out, and maybe 90 days or something. And I said at the outset that I'm guessing more like 30 days. And look, our buying power in the United States, our wealth, is something other countries can't do without. They have got to do business with us. And if they've been taking advantage of us, Trump's going to try to do something about that in the negotiations. He's already got a deal done with Great Britain, which was one we've wanted to do for a long time. The deal with China is a work in progress, but there was I was surprised China rolled over as quickly as they did on what they gave. Look, you only got to make a handful more, Mexico, Canada, European Union. You get those done, and you're not going to be able to get to the door because everybody's going to nobody wants to be left behind on this. So, look, he knows what he's doing. I've watched him in the first administration. When he hated NAFTA, pulled NAFTA down and replaced it with the USMCA. I was involved in that. I was in the room when the stuff was done. The people that did it, I'm not going to go into the personalities now, but he's got a lot of the same talent doing it this time as last time. These guys know what they're doing, and I feel confident this 6 months from now, people won't even remember this, I don't think.
Senator, it's called the Big Beautiful Bill. Right now, the House is still trying to figure it out, but I think there's a growing sense of impatience on the part of the American people, and certainly with Trump's mandate coming in to get some of this stuff done. And I think the impatience is warranted. Does Speaker Johnson need to really get things moving over there to make this happen?
Yeah, impatience is warranted, and we're impatient in the Senate side. The president's impatient. I was up there last week and had a in-depth conversation with the president about this. He's going to wind up having to engage in this. So we'll get this done on the Senate side. On the House side, they got a 3-vote margin. Well, one of those guys said he's not going to go, and so they're down to a 2-vote margin. And you can't come close. This isn't like horseshoes, he's got to get them all. And to do that, he's going to have to engage. And he'd rather be doing second branch stuff than first branch stuff. But he's just going to have to do it. And so that's where we are. And it is difficult because the margins are so close. If we had just a little bit more margin in the House, we'd be a lot better off.
Okay, I know we have you only for one more minute, Senator, but Julie was telling me this morning that former Attorney General Jim Jones of Idaho wrote a piece critiquing you. And my question is, how much sleep have you lost over criticism by Jim Jones?
That's a rhetorical question. Perhaps I did. I just can't remember it. I don't know.
Yeah, I got you.
I don't. He was the Attorney General, and he branded as a Republican and everything else. But the stuff he writes looks very, very similar to stuff that's written by the other side. I don't read it, but staff tells me that I don't want to read it either. So
yeah, I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Yeah, and look, when you're doing a job like this, you're going to have people that really appreciate what you do and others who don't. And the ones that don't are always more vocal than the ones that do. So you just live with it as part of the job.
Agreed. All right. Well, we will let you go. We appreciate your time, Senator.
Good to talk to you, as always. Thanks.
All right. 8:15 now on News Talk 107.9. We'll take that quick break and come back and continue after this. It's 8:19 now on News Talk 107.9 on this Thursday morning. Let's talk about your home. Right now, Clayton Homes is having their a big event between now and August 31st. Save up to $5,000 instantly on your home purchase at Clayton Homes Sign and Save event. And by the way, you can save up to $2,500 on a single section home or $5,000 on a multi-section home. And if you already own a manufactured or a mobile home, you can call or visit to learn about their trade-in process. Upgrading your home may be easier than you think with Clayton Homes. Now, they are designed with you in mind. Clayton Homes are designed with your needs in mind, with premium features that turn your house into your dream home. They're built with thick insulation, tight construction, designed to help keep you comfortable and to help save you money. So get the luxury, quality, and the style you want in a beautiful and affordable home with energy-efficient features to fit your budget. Now, terms and conditions for the Sign and Save Sales event at manufacturedhomeoffers.com are in place. Available only at participating Clayton Homes family of brands retailers through 8/31. Amount of savings may be limited, and you can ask for those details. May not be available with certain financing and lender restrictions apply. And by the way, visit the local Clayton Homes near you or browse their limited time deals at manufacturedhomeoffers.com if you'd like to learn more about big savings and up to $5,000 with their Sign and Save event at Clayton Homes. All right, it's 8:20, Julie. I saw a story that is a little scary. You might find this interesting, though. Apparently, you know what an inverter is. Mm-hmm. And U.S. energy officials are reassessing the risk posed by Chinese-made devices that play a critical role in renewable energy infrastructure after unexplained communication equipment was found inside some of them.
Okay.
So we get this stuff from China. They put stuff in it in order to spy, I'm guessing. And power inverters, which are predominantly produced in China, are used throughout the world to connect solar panels and wind turbines to electricity grids. They're also found in batteries, heat pumps, and electric vehicle chargers. And while inverters are built to allow remote access for updates and maintenance, the utility companies that use them typically install firewalls to prevent direct communication back to China. But rogue communication devices not listed in product documents have been found in some Chinese solar power inverters by U.S. experts who stripped down the equipment hooked up to grids to check for security issues. Over the past 9 months, undocumented communication devices, we need to deport those, by the way.
Undocumented ones.
Yes. Including cellular radios have also been found in some batteries from multiple Chinese suppliers.
Okay.
I remember one time when smartwatches were just coming out. One of my kids bought one, but a really, really cheap model. They found it on Amazon or something. And it was from China. And I looked in, and I was a little skeptical of it. And I told her about this. I never activated it because there were warnings about this, that China was putting in basically spyware in devices that are manufactured in China. And who knows, once it's Bluetooth connected to your phone, what kind of access does it have? What's it reading? What's happening?
Oh, not just your phone, because then you share accounts on your PCs or your Macs.
Yes.
So your desktops, and then all that information is on there because they can go through account systems.
Yes,
yeah.
Right.
Terrifying.
Yeah, it is terrifying. So I think I still have that watch somewhere.
Put it up on one of the Facebook pages and sell it for $10. Buy yourself some lunch.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. But I read a story about this, and I'm like, buying all this stuff from China. You go on Temu, you can get stuff. I don't know how great it is. I don't know how good the quality is, but you can get it for this rock bottom price that is insane. That now maybe you can't with tariffs, but I'm thinking, what are they getting? Why is this stuff so darn cheap? And I'm thinking they are gleaning data and information on Americans.
Yeah, Temu's in trouble with the tariffs, by the way, because they've been cheating. So that's one of the reasons you can get it so cheap is they don't send their stuff in big bulk containers. They have figured out how to keep the containers small enough that they're not examined, and therefore they don't have to pay the massive tariffs.
Oh, gotcha.
It's kind of crazy how they're getting around it, but they've now been caught. So the Temu days might be coming to an end.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hey, it's Brad from Now 105.1 and QP99. I'm in the studio here. I love our studios, by the way. Ranger Rick back there. There's Neal and Julie doing their thing. Hey, when you want to advertise on the radio, what do? You call the radio station, right? But what do you do when you want to advertise on Facebook and Instagram and Hulu and Disney Plus and Peacock and the other TV streaming services? You can kind of click around on them and make guesses or read books or take courses online on how to do that advertising. Or you could call us at the radio station. At Sandhill Media, we take care of your local radio and digital marketing. So reach out to us at sandhillmediagroup.com and we'll make sure that your message gets heard and seen wherever your customers are.
Okay. Have you ever ordered off
Not
Temu?
one thing.
I have not. I have not personally. I have by proxy. Marv, our engineer here at the station, he does Temu. And if I want something, I'm like, Marv,
can you get me this?
Can you get me this?
He's your supplier.
He is my He's my go-to. He's my supplier.
Okay. Does he have a trench coat and does he open it up with this little Temu app?
Thank goodness no. But yes, I don't want to sign up on it because I have heard that it is kind of a security thing that people get.
Yeah, I'm not doing that either.
But I bet you if we did a text flash poll. Lots of our listeners
I'm
probably
sure they are.
do Temu. They're like, yeah, I know it might compromise my identity, but
I saved $7.73.
I can't pass up a DVD player for 83 cents. I have to do it.
Funny.
All right, it's 8:26 on News Talk 107.9. We're actually going to shift gears here in just a few minutes. There's a Jefferson ambulance controversy, so we'll have that for you coming up in a few minutes right here on News Talk 107.9. It's 8:31 now on News Talk 107.9. Neil Larson, along with Julie Mason. And Julie, we have a couple of guests. We're going to shift gears. We've been hearing rumblings about this for a while, and it's turned into quite a big issue for the residents of Jefferson County. And they are looking and trying at creating their own ambulance district, which we want to welcome into studio this morning Todd Stoll and Carl Anderson. Todd is the retired assistant fire chief, and Carl Anderson is a retired chief of the Central Fire District. I guess tell us, both of you are very much in favor of creating this ambulance district because right now you contract with Idaho Falls. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, and that creates some logistical problems because the ambulances have to come from Idaho Falls to Jefferson County, which is a sprawling county, and it covers a lot of territory. And that's what kind of is leading to this.
Correct.
So tell us more about it.
Okay. So what's happening here is that, like you said, we're trying to get this fire district or ambulance district formed. We've been pulling money. The Central Fire District has been supporting the ambulance. We have an ambulance service now, and they have been supporting it along with Jefferson County. Okay. And then that money goes to Idaho Falls for a contract for them to come in for advanced life support, paramedic service.
Gotcha.
Which we don't have in Jefferson County.
So the really critical traumatic cases, that's when they come
heart
in.
attacks, serious traffic accidents, anything that really requires medication.
Okay.
And so what we're trying to do is, we really can't pull money from the fire district. That's like the fire district going and saying, hey, we'll buy some police cars for the police county, for the county. You can't do that. And so we're going to set up a fire district that was requested us to do to make it right, okay?
Yeah.
And then the fire district over here is going to have their money come in to support the fire trucks.
Yeah.
The ambulance district is going to come in and support EMS, okay? With that, we will be able to increase our service level up to paramedic level, okay? And then that way we can keep our ambulances. We're going to have quicker response times. Personally, I had one of my daughters was in a serious situation where they went into full arrest and CPR was going. Let me tell you what, that was a long waiting for that ambulance. But Idaho Falls showed up. They did a great job, and I appreciate Idaho Falls and everything that they've done over the years.
Just too far away, though.
Yeah. Well, you're sitting there, by 20 minutes, we're in the emergency room. Isn't that about the average response time, Carl, for to transport from Rigby to Ermac?
Yes, that's right. About 15 to 20 minutes, depending upon location. And
so in cases where every minute counts, that's why.
Exactly.
So I know one thing, and I'm sure Julie has questions here too. A lot of people are going to wonder, what does this mean in terms of expense to the taxpayer? Is this going to be a tax increase? It is a new taxing district, but how do the dollars compare with what you're paying for right now?
So currently, it is another tax line on their tax notice. If this district goes through, it'll be approximately $40 to every $100,000 of assessed property value.
And that's after the homeowner's exemption.
After homeowner's exemption. But we see it as basically a wash because currently the county has a contract with Bonneville County and has a contract with Jefferson Central Fire. So the county is already paying a good sum to keep this ambulance going. So it's going to be a wash.
How does it compare to the $40? Like, is it how much will be reduced in other parts of their taxes?
it's almost impossible for us to say that because it's the county commissioners that pay this amount. So currently the county commissioners are paying out roughly $620,000. So if the ambulance district goes through, then they won't have to budget that money. So operating costs, we think operating costs for a full year will be somewhere in the neighborhood of $800,000.
Okay. So it would be marginally more expensive then.
A little bit,
but
yes.
there's a benefit to it.
In the long run, though, it will save money because we know that these service prices have to go up. They have to increase. We're talking about what's currently being paid, but every year we know we're going to see an increase.
And it's going to be a significant increase. We're talking 25% every year.
Okay.
And when you do the math, in 5 years, we'll be at $1,500,000 just for the contract with Idaho Falls.
Okay.
And then they're still going to come up, transport you, and charge you on top of that.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm imagining also that the footprint of Rigby and the greater area is growing at a fast pace. So it's just going to become even harder for that contract to be fulfilled because as those houses spread out, it's even further for transport.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is going on the ballot on Tuesday, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else on the ballot?
We're the only entity on the ballot right now. And so we're encouraging people, get out and vote yes with this thing. If you want to keep your taxes down, and I know that we're asking for a levy, but like Carl said, this is going to be a flip-flop. The money that we're paying now to the city of Idaho Falls is going to go away. And then we'll have the difference with the levy isn't going to be that much. Okay, so it's going to be a great thing to keep taxes lower in town.
So the opposition, because I know there are some people that are opposed to this, is it just rooted basically in they don't want another taxing district?
That's it. A lot of these people are what do they call them? The freedom. What do they call them? Okay. Anyway,
he doesn't have a nice name for them.
He doesn't. Anyway, we know who our opposition is, and you know what? I'm not gonna badmouth them because I don't like taxes either.
Yeah.
Okay. But we're trying to educate them that really this is going to be a flip flop. Okay. We're going to reduce the taxes that we're already being paid or charged out, but yes, we are going to put this levy in to take its place. Yeah. And a lot of the opposition, they don't like taxes, and I don't either. And, we've got several school bonds in place right now, and it's crazy. And I understand these people. I really do. Yeah. But the bottom line is, do you want ambulance service, period?
Yeah.
All right.
That's it.
So say I'm thinking about voting for this. I don't live in Jefferson County, but say I'm there and I'm thinking about voting for this. If you came to my doorstep and were letting me know about this, and I asked you the question, well, how soon will this be up and running? When will the contract expire with Idaho Falls, and how soon will it be up and running? What would you say?
Okay, I'm going to hand that one over to Carl. He knows that answer.
So annually, budgets are looked at, and annually, every year, Central Fire and Idaho Falls Fire propose a bill to go to the county. This is what it's going to cost this year to cover the county. So that's a yearly cost. If the ambulance district goes through, we will not see any of that money until January of 2027. So It's got to pass, and then we don't see that money till that time.
Will new infrastructure need to be built to house the ambulances and do all of that, or is that just going to be part of the fire?
So, no. If this goes through the fire department, the fire district will work with the ambulance district, and we will house ambulances in our current fire stations.
And we'll have the current employees that we have now, so It's not like we're going to have to go out and we've been running basic life support now for a while and been running it very successful. And we've got several employees that want to go out and increase their education. They're already signed up for the paramedic course. And So we're excited for that.
So a couple of years ago, you guys are probably familiar with this, but there was an issue with the library district in Bonneville County and the Idaho Falls Library.
Yes.
The county was paying the city to be able to use their library. And after a while, it just wasn't working for the county. So they said, well, we're just going to create our own library. I don't know if they created a new library district, but they decided they were going to have their own library system. And because they were going to be charged more and more, and it just didn't. They were like, we can start our own library for less money. So there are some similarities to this. But there was resistance from the city library. Are you finding there's resistance from Idaho Falls and the ambulance service in Idaho Falls? Because you're a source of revenue for them right now.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely not. There's no resistance from Idaho Falls. Idaho Falls is encouraging us to do this. They're helping us with this.
They're giving us time. They says, okay, here's our contract for this year. And they're being very, very, very generous. And they're saying, we're going to make this contract livable.
Okay.
But you guys have got to start showing some action. Here's the problem. Idaho Falls has got 7 or 8 ambulances, and they dump the house daily. Dumping the house means every ambulance is out somewhere. And the odds of one of those or 2 of those ambulances in Jefferson County is always the case, okay?
Okay.
And so Idaho Falls has got their own growing problems. And so they're helping us, they're encouraging us, they're giving us ideas, and we're very grateful for the city of Idaho Falls and the fire chief there helping us get this set up.
Okay, so they're willing to cut you loose and
exactly, with no hard feelings, because once we get this thing going and we get up to the advanced life support transporting, we're going to get a mutual aid agreement signed, and then that way we can help them. If they end up dumping the house, we can run down there and help them, because that happens a lot. If we dump our house, they'll come up and help us.
Okay, so you'll still have an agreement,
a workable agreement.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
One of our listeners is asking, how many ambulances do you currently have in Jefferson County?
So currently we have 1 fully staffed ambulance that we obtained with ARPA funds. We have a second backup ambulance that I purchased from Madison Fire when they put it in reserve status. That ambulance is a 2011. It needs to be replaced. So we are looking at purchasing another ambulance.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, gentlemen, anything else that you'd like our listeners to know?
So, yes, one thing I would like our listeners to know is on this issue, we are also looking at growth. Every time I go to a planning and zoning meeting, a commissioners meeting, people are harping on where are our emergency services. We need to grow our emergency services. So this is the intention of this ambulance district, is to grow our emergency services.
Yeah.
This whole thing kind of sparked. You remember the incident we had down at the school in Rigby with the
yes, very much
the shooting, and that was a real eye opener. It was an eye opener for us in Rigby. It was an eye opener for the city of Idaho Falls, Madison County. If that would have been a horrible, horrible deal, it would have taxed every city around here. And then that's when the people started screaming, we don't have an ambulance, because we didn't have an ambulance then.
We did not.
And so, and that's kind of what started sparring some of these meetings and getting this ball rolling.
Yeah.
And so the people are screaming, hey, we need a service here. And so we're trying to make sure that this happens.
One of the challenges of growth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So May 20th. Or here's something cool. If you're not doing anything between now and May 20th, how about an absentee ballot? What a great idea.
I'm more than willing to put that out there, but that ends at a certain point before Election Day, too, that you can early vote.
Yes.
So I don't know what that day is. Usually Friday, maybe? I don't know.
It could be Friday.
Yeah. But you can this week. Well, I guess.
Yeah.
Would that be today?
You got today, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Todd Stoll, Carl Anderson, thank you both for coming.
You bet. Thank you for letting us come.
All right. It's 8:45 now on News Talk 107.9. Quick break. We'll be back after this. All right, welcome back on News Talk 107. Neal Larson and Julie Mason on this Thursday edition of the program. Is it raining out there, Julie?
I have watched the weather. I wouldn't be surprised.
I actually am looking through the slits right now, and yes, it is raining.
Okay.
Which is okay. I'll take the rain.
My lawn is really green. Thanks to the 4-step lawn program and the water.
Is mine. I'm just saying those humates have been getting it on. And
chicken, wow, wow.
The lawn is green. In fact, I'm a little irritated because it is growing so quickly. I think once a week isn't quite enough mowing.
It feels like it, huh?
So help me, I'm not going to mow more than once a week. So that's not happening.
You can just swath on Saturday.
I will, yeah. Well, does anybody have a swather I can borrow that would work for a lawn?
For your city lot?
It's very green, very lush, very thick, and I'm about to add fertilizer to that, too, here in a couple of weeks. So.
Yeah, that's the 4-step lawn program at Town and Country Gardens. You don't want to miss out on that. You can have a beautiful yard just like Neal has and I have. Also, all of your garden needs, planting season is upon us, so make sure you get on down to Town and Country, get all of your plants, your seeds, your soil prep, all the things needed to have a bounteous garden this summer.
Yep, south of Idaho Falls, across from the Budweiser plant, and on Yellowstone Highway.
There we go.
You want to hear the Drudge headline right now?
Oh, geez, go ahead.
Walmart warns price hikes coming.
It's like they send a memo out because that was a CNN story for about 15 minutes this morning. They did a big spread on this. And you know what it's going to end up being? If we read deep into it, it's going to be on something like strollers. Things that we don't buy every day.
And you know what? You almost have to read deeper into the data because you can't trust headlines anymore from the liberal media, especially this is CNBC, but it's still NBC is the NBC and CNBC. Mm-hmm. The Arkansas-based discounter beat quarterly earnings expectations and stuck by its full-year forecast, which calls for sales to grow 3 to 4%. And adjusted earnings of $2.50 to $2.60 per share for the fiscal year. The cautious profit outlook had disappointed Wall Street in February. Anyway, so they're saying we are wired for everyday low prices, but the magnitude of these increases is more than any retailer can absorb. It's more than any supplier can absorb. And so I'm concerned that that consumer is going to start seeing higher prices. You'll begin to see that likely towards the tail end of this month and then certainly much more in June.
Okay. Sure. This might be accurate. This might be 100% accurate. But they're disappointed that they had growth. That's the second paragraph. We did have growth, but it's not as much as we hoped for.
Yeah.
And so is it there a potential they're raising the prices to increase their profits?
Maybe
our growth wasn't enough, so we want to bump it just a little bit to keep on par. So we're gonna take our prices up a little.
Maybe, but I look at this and it's a fluid situation, mm-hmm. and sometimes we read headlines and we read news stories as though they are permanent situations.
Yeah.
So there's a 90-day deal with China. And admittedly, lots of stuff in Walmart comes from China, like a lot of stuff in a lot of stores. But I think, and we've got this 90-day window, Trump's going to negotiate. And if prices go up a little bit, I feel like that's okay. We don't want more. This is not inflation in the traditional sense like Biden did with all the printing of the money. This is actual value that will be coming back to our country, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm. Well, we just interviewed Senator Risch at the beginning of this hour, and he doesn't think it's going to take 90 days. He thinks there'll be something hammered out much sooner than that.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, and they're projecting this for several weeks out from here, maybe it'll all be taken care of by the time we get here.
That's what I'm thinking. And you know what? And maybe they are playing this expectation game. This prices may be going up, and then when they don't go up, or at least as much as they're saying, everybody's like, oh, that's good.
It's so funny that this is such a doomsday article because you read all the way through the article, they've got increases everywhere. E-commerce sales went up by 21%.
Yeah.
It was the 12th straight quarter of double-digit gains.
Well,
what are you complaining about?
And it says
you're making money.
As of Wednesday's close, Walmart shares are up about 7% so far on the year. So, I mean, Like,
what is the doomsday?
you know what? Drudge just needed an anti-Trump headline. That's what this is.
Yep.
And it says retail sales slow sharply. Okay, I don't trust any of the language anymore.
I don't either.
So, anyway, sorry, I saw that. I got a little bit distracted.
It's okay. We're good.
By that. Have we played the Scott Jennings clip yet today?
We have not.
Okay, here's Scott Jennings. And he's talking about Joe Biden disappearing after the debate last year. Oh, hold on. I got this.
After Biden dropped out, I mean, he did basically disappear. He did show up at the convention, but from the point at which he dropped out of the campaign, he basically disappeared. And then after the election day, between that and the inaugural, he really disappeared. And I just think there are legitimate questions about at that point. If he was not fit to run for office, I argued at the time he was not fit to serve in the office at the time, yet he was not in the public eye. Decisions were being made, monumental policy decisions were being made, and I still want to know who was making them. And was the president
you deserve those answers. And first and foremost, and lastly, there's nothing about Kamala Harris that's a loser. Yeah. Let's just put it.
Okay, that transition into the old Kevin O'Leary calling Kamala Harris loser thing. But going back to what Scott Jennings said, and we just have a couple of minutes here. I feel like I had this thought the other day, Julie. I was actually driving in my car, and I thought the Democrats didn't care that he wasn't qualified to be the president. When he became unqualified to be the nominee, that's when they started paying attention.
Yeah, that it's fine that we're not holding cabinet meetings.
Right.
That it's fine that the cabinet members can't schedule a meeting with him. That's come out in one of the books, that they would contact the White House and say, hey, we really need to meet about issue A, and they couldn't get a meeting scheduled with him.
What that tells me is they looked at Joe Biden, at least in 2020, as we need a singular vessel that gets us our political power. Mm-hmm. That's what the Democrat Party was interested in. There's enough staff, there's enough big bureaucracy, resources. They can compensate for a dementia-ridden president. Mm-hmm. Like they'll prop him up. They'll weekend at Bernie's him. So they didn't care that he wasn't qualified to be the president, but they needed to put somebody on display to get them through a presidential race so they could continue to have access to the power they were enjoying.
Yeah, that was it.
Terrible people.
When you really, if you're going to have any kind of anger about all of this, I would say probably the biggest anger for me is that in the administration itself, somebody was pulling the puppet strings, and that's how they view government. Not that the president is there to enact good policy, to sign bills, all of that for the American government. The president is there to be a puppet for what you want. Shouldn't
the 25th Amendment have come into play before a campaign switcheroo comes into play?
Sure should have.
Should have. If you love your country more than your party, it would have. It's 8:59. We'll be back. 9:07, welcome back. Hour 2 underway. 208-542-1079. That is the number if you'd like to reach us on this Thursday morning, rainy Thursday. And the Supreme Court, they are hearing arguments about birthright citizenship this morning. And apparently part of the discussion is about judicial overreach as well. And there's kind of a sub-drama that is going on. Apparently, Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts had to rein in Justice Sonia Sotomayor during oral arguments. Sotomayor dominated questioning for several minutes at the outset of Thursday's argument. After taking over from Justice Clarence Thomas, she pressed U.S. Solicitor General John Sauer for President Donald Trump's administration on several points relating to the authority for federal courts to issue nationwide injunctions, often speaking over the lawyer and interrupting him. Sotomayor argued that Trump's order invalidating birthright citizenship violated 4 Supreme Court precedents, a claim Sauer attempted to contest before Sotomayor interrupted him once again. "Can I hear the rest of his answer?" Roberts then interjected. Sauer then elaborated on his statement before questions continued. So, this is a tactic. Sometimes when you're making a good argument and you're winning the argument, your opponent will interrupt you. So if you're a Supreme Court justice, there are times to interrupt. But I think if her effort was to say, okay, he's right about this, so I need to jump in and I need to cut this off, and that's wrong as a Supreme Court justice. You should let the best legal arguments be put forward and then judge on the merits.
It's not a basketball game. Like coaches will, if a team is on a 10-0 run, the coach that's not scoring points will call a timeout and calm everybody down and hopefully end the momentum and everything. This is not a basketball game.
Yep.
You know the rules, Sonia Sotomayor. Sit there and let them argue their part, and then you'll get to ask questions. That's how it's always previously worked.
Yes. Yeah. Now, part of this is about judicial overreach because the question at hand, I believe, is can a federal judge in one district court issue an injunction that is effective for the entire country? Now, I've got some audio. I'm going to have to do a little editing. We'll do this later in the hour. But apparently back in 2022, Justice Elena Kagan was at some sit-down forum, and she said that a federal judge should not be able to issue a nationwide injunction. And I'm guessing it's in the context of some Trump-appointed judge or Bush-appointed judge issuing a nationwide injunction that she didn't like. And I'm curious to see how maybe Kagan is going to be changing her tune on this.
Yeah, how she will react now.
And, I look at this and I'm thinking, look, judges are important, but judges went from being important to all important. They became the dictators. They became God. They became the big deciders. And I don't know how that happened.
Their concept is that the new version of due process is nothing can be done until a judge says it's okay to be done.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. People get arrested. People get put in jail. All of those things happen all the time before a judge even rules on anything.
There's a whole area, Julie, where it's all administrative. Mm-hmm. And it would almost be like, let's say this context makes no sense, but let's say I went to the unemployment office and they said, oh, I'm sorry, you don't quite qualify for unemployment, so we're denying your request. Could I say, I want to see a judge and I demand due process? Okay, this is an administrative action. We're not incarcerating these people. They're not being tried. They're not being accused of they're being accused of a crime, but it's similar to the same way we don't have jury trials for traffic infractions. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get a jury trial for a speeding ticket because it's under administrative law as opposed to criminal law.
Yeah. Well, let me give you an example of a situation that would be understandable for people, that it's important for administration to step in before a judge can. You've got children in a home where they're being abused, and CPS is the administrator, and they've gone and they've made several visits, and it looks like they need to get these kids out of the home. And so they'll make an administrative decision, take the kids from the home and put them in foster care. That is probably eventually going to end up in the family courts. But the action is done before it gets to the family courts.
Yeah.
That is so that behavior will stop and protect these kids. The same thing is happening with illegal immigration. It's administrative. We need to stop the criminal behavior. Then if there's something that needs to be fought out through the courts, it can eventually get there. But you don't wait for a judge to say, all right, go ahead and get that guy.
Yeah.
Administration happens before a judge rules.
So the question was asked, I don't remember who was on the sound clip. I don't think we played it the last couple of days, but Obama deported tons of people. Mm-hmm. And we didn't have trials or even these extensive hearings for every single one of these deportations. We've given the relevant bureaucracy, whether it's ICE or Border Patrol, whoever, they have the authority. Once they determine that someone is not here legally, they can send them back home. Mm-hmm. We don't need a hearing, and we don't need this is a fabrication. This is something that the Democrats have ginned up. It's like January 6th. It's like Russia-Trump collusion hoax. They have ginned up this requirement that illegals deserve a full slate of criminal due process before we can send them home. It doesn't exist.
Remember that AOC clip that we played a couple of days ago where she's saying, yeah, go ahead and try us. Go ahead, try to do this.
Yeah.
Okay. In that, she uses the word us multiple times as if something's happening to her, a legal citizen of America. Why are you incorporating yourself into this us
Why did she
group?
use the first person?
Yeah, and
That's
she
weird.
says it multiple times in that clip that circulated widely. Okay, that's where they're putting themselves. The Democrats are building this clique, this group, with a bunch of criminals. That should tell us plenty about what their party is doing.
Oh, yeah. It should. And I think maybe they are getting back to the approach. I remember Rush Limbaugh used to say this all the time. The most ridiculous spectacle you'll see in American politics is when liberals are out of power. They go nuts. They cannot handle it. They lose their ever-loving minds. And I think AOC, she's absorbing the reality that a Democrat's not the president, Democrats don't run the House, Democrats don't run the Senate, and we have a conservative majority on the Supreme Court. They lose their minds, and they start doing these completely irrational things.
And we've seen it with Jasmine Crockett, too. Her bizarre, over-the-top behavior has ramped up dramatically over the last 6 to 8 months. Well, what happened over the last 6 to 8 months? It became obvious Trump was going to win the election.
Yeah.
And Trump did win the election. And now Trump is the president, and she's acting irrationally.
Is there real mental illness here?
Potentially. Yes, I think.
We can't diagnose it, but I look at this and I see their behavior. It does not match up to reality at all.
It will be interesting to see how this plays out in the Supreme Court. They're not going to make a quick decision on this, right? This is going to be, we're not going to get a ruling until June.
Yeah, usually we don't.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, although if time is of the essence, I suppose they could.
Yeah, that's why I was asking about the time frame.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And maybe we can get somebody to leak it, like the Roe v. Wade case.
Maybe. Is that clerk gone? I think that clerk is gone.
Did we ever find out who it was?
Well, there was a ton of rumor it was that one clerk, but I don't think it was ever validated completely. Like
the one whose boyfriend worked at Politico or something. Yeah. Like, wasn't there?
They just conveniently left. Yeah.
Okay, you know what? I was really suspicious about that whole cover story.
Mm-hmm.
Can I put this forward? Because I know this goes back a couple of years, but I felt like they probably knew exactly who did it.
Oh, I think they all knew.
And they said, we don't want to ruin this young clerk's law career. If we pursue this, it will destroy their future. Mm-hmm. It was a terrible mistake, and it was egregious, but we're not going to destroy it. But you need to find another job. We'll create a cover story for you. Mm-hmm. We'll cut you loose. And I can't imagine what conversations may have been had with the Supreme Court Chief Justice, but I would imagine they knew. They had to have known. How do they not know?
They knew. They totally knew. This leads me to talk about what you and I talked about off air yesterday when the show ended. We were talking about a couple of different situations, and I said to you, there was a time several years ago where I would have said, if you get past two people, you can't keep a secret anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true. I do not think that's true in D.C. I don't think it's true in the big business world. Any time where your income is going to be affected.
Yeah.
I think you can get anybody to keep a secret. I used to really believe that, there was enough good people out there that it eventually come out and the truth would be told.
Yeah.
I am shifting towards you can get a group of 10 people to keep something quiet.
If they can be rich enough off of it.
Yeah, if money is at play, you can get people to be quiet.
Yeah. Well, there's the current crime case that you're...
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We were talking about it, referencing the Karen Reed case, which is the Boston cop who died in the snowstorm. And if you don't know about it, it's far too extensive to explain. But for her to be innocent, there needs to be a cover-up.
Yeah.
We're seeing cover-ups all over the place.
Yeah.
Look at Strzok and Page. Their lives are pretty darn good still.
Yeah.
Tell me there wasn't a cover-up there to make sure that their lives are okay.
Yeah, no kidding.
You had enough people who wanted to keep their positions that everybody did what they were told.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. That's true. And certainly you get the right people with the right incentives or disincentives. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can do some.
Yeah, I do believe that a group of people can keep a secret when money's involved.
Yeah. Well, and does this whole thing play into Diddy and Epstein? And
yeah, sure. Look, those people are scrambling, trying. Do we want to go down that? Because I have a part of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's very firmly believed that P. Diddy completely destroyed Justin Bieber when he was a young kid. Yeah. Justin Bieber went on, had a career, could probably still make music. He's in a really bad place in his life right now, but probably could. Well, he put up a video yesterday, Justin Bieber did, shot on security cam. So he pulled the security cam video, so it looks like security cam video, and he's eating a slice of pizza and just staring at the camera.
Really?
Even with a ton of people having an understanding that P. Diddy ruined his life, he still has to put up vague like indications of, yep, I was molested as a child.
Wow.
I'm telling you, when it comes to money and fame and power, people will keep the secrets.
Yeah. That's sad. I think you're right, though. All right, 9:20 on News Talk 1079. If you'd like to reach us on the program, 208-542-1079. That's the Stones Automotive Group call and text line. When we come back, Trump is speaking. He spoke to the troops. We'll have some of those clips for you right here on News Talk 1079. Okay, I gotta let's see here.
That a lower court could do a national.
It can't be right that one district.
I didn't like it so much. Watch.
And it just can't be right that one district judge can stop a nationwide policy in its tracks and leave it stopped for the years that it takes to go through a normal process.
Okay, that clip didn't age well. That's Elena Kagan. Elena. I wonder if in high school her name was Elena Kager.
Trump's immigration policy.
Have you taken to...
Does she look like a drinker from high school?
Yeah, I don't know. Apparently...
Changes turned outright contempt.
Apparently Kristi Noem and Eric Swalwell went after it.
Yeah, Kristi got a little fiery yesterday.
Have you taken to return Mr. Abrego Garcia pursuant to this court order?
It's got to be extremely discourage to be one of your constituents.
Yeah, we have
to
this.
see you fight for a terrorist like this and not fight for them is extrememely alarming to me.
The letters MS and the number 13 in Times Roman numeral font, that they are doctored on this photo, right?
Congressman Abrego Garcia.
No, I'm just asking about this photo. Madam Secretary, I have a 7-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old. I have a bull detector. I'm just asking you, is this doctored or not doctored?
Sir, the protocols in the case built against
Can you
Abrego
answer the
Garcia
question?
Were exactly the same.
Here's why she can't answer that question. Because what does the word doctored mean?
There's no good answer.
She can't answer that question because the photo was altered because something was put in. It's photo on photo.
Yeah.
So you can't say, was it doctored or not?
Yeah.
I guess that's the word you would use, but we do this all of the time. We submit evidence in criminal cases that look like this. The jury, the prosecution will make
text over an image.
Yes,
yeah.
The prosecution will make like an exhibit that says, "Here is this," and they'll point arrows at this is this, this is this, this is this.
Yeah.
Is that doctored?
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's operating. That's the thing and maybe that's what she should have said. Define doctored.
Mm-hmm.
You give me the definition of doctored. Was it added to bring clarity? Yes, but they weren't trying to make it seem like the M and the S and the 13 were actual tattoos on Abrego Garcia's hand.
Mm-hmm.
They were explaining the marijuana, the skull,
yes,
the cross, yeah.
I would tell you, in a criminal case, if this had nothing to do, if you were just in a regular courtroom, that would be submitted as a piece of evidence, as an exhibit.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be evidence. It would be exhibit, blah, 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 submitted to the court, and then they would show it.
Yeah.
And a judge would let it in.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. 20 seconds.
It just can't be right that one district judge can stop a nationwide policy in its tracks and leave it stopped for the years that it takes to go through a normal process.
Okay, that was Elena Kagan in 2022. We'll see if it's also Elena Kagan 2025.
Does the clip say what she was referencing there in 2022, what the judge was stopping? Yeah, I'm going to guess no, she's not going to be the same person, because it should be appreciated that when Supreme Court justices rule strictly constitutionally on things, we're not at that place anymore.
Yeah.
We're at a place where agendas really infuse into this questioning.
They've just become sort of partisan cheerleaders. Not in absolutely everything. I think there are some cases that come before the Supreme Court that are so clear-cut. We have had some 9-0, not a lot, but we have had some 9-0 or 8-1s. For the most part, we're getting 5-4s a lot, because I think if they can weave a pathway to get the outcome they want, making the legal arguments, that's what they do. It's almost like they're doing it backwards. They arrive at their conclusion first, and then they reverse engineer their ruling to match their conclusion.
Yeah.
When in reality, they should just look at the law and let the conclusion flow from that.
Yes.
And I don't think they all do. Maybe they're conservatives that do that too. I'm not going to throw the shade at just one side in this, but it does feel like it is far more common from the left. I mean, look, however you view Amy Coney Barrett, she is not a reliable conservative vote on the Supreme Court.
Oh, absolutely not at this point, no. And I think that we could go back and dissect some of these rulings and see that they're clearly not ruling constitutionally on this stuff.
No, that's true. That's true. Someone said, the mental illness thing. Things got a little testy in the hearing yesterday with Kristi Noem, and she pushed back super hard on Dan Goldman. Listen.
What steps have you taken to return Mr. Abrego Garcia pursuant to this court order?
It's got to be extremely discouraging to be one of your constituents. To see you fight for a terrorist like this and not fight for them is extremely alarming to me.
The letters.
Okay, so did you hear the groans in the background?
Yeah.
Like the Democrats are just like, oh, that. But that's a smart play on her part. I'm not the biggest fan of Kristi Noem. That's super smart to not even acknowledge the ridiculous things that Dan Goldman is saying, but to go directly to his constituents and say, it's super frustrating to be your constituent because you're spending so much time and energy trying to defend a terrorist criminal that doesn't even live in your district.
Yeah. Well, and you're not getting anything done in your job either. You're all worked up and spending all of this time to defend a terrorist, to defend a gang member, when what you're actually hired to do by your constituents is come and get things accomplished.
Yeah.
And you're not doing it.
No, not at all. This was Bang Bang's boyfriend.
Bang Bang.
Whatever.
What were the other words yesterday?
Ling Ling and Sing Sing and
we were
talking about having to give gifts back to countries that gave them to us. So the
pandas.
Yeah, Ling Ling and Sing Sing, I think. Anyway, so here's Swalwell and Kristi Noem.
Alarming to me.
The letters MS and the number 13 in Times Roman numeral font, that they are doctored on this photo, right?
Congressman Abrego Garcia.
No, I'm just asking about this photo. Madam Secretary, I have a 7-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old. I have a bull detector. I'm just asking you, is this doctored or not doctored?
Wait, he slept with a Chinese spy Apparently, he let the batteries lapse in his bleep detector.
Yes. Also, how much BS is your 7, your 6-year-old, and your 3-year-old trying to push over on you that you actually need a BS detector? What kind of little kids are you raising?
Yeah, no kidding. Naughty little dishonest kids like you.
Yeah, like I can see if you had a 17-year-old, a 15-year-old, and a 14-year-old, we could have a conversation.
That's the clapback she needed was, well, if they're your kids, you definitely need one.
Yes.
They take after their dad, you need one. That's what I would have said. Sorry, I just spit on you, I think. But,
it's okay. It's not the first time. We've worked together 8 years.
That's true. Yeah.
Sir, the protocols in the case built against
Can you
Diego
answer the
Garcia
question?
were exactly the same.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, the whole doctored thing, Julie, I don't believe that the Trump administration put that out wanting everyone to think that those were additional tattoos on his knuckle. They were explanatory for what already was on his knuckle, the marijuana, the skull, the cross that looked like a 1, and then... Or no. What was the S? Was it a skull?
No, it is a skull.
Okay.
And then the 1 is like a cross, but the one side is really faded. So it really does look like a 1.
What is the 3 then?
The 3 was...
I thought the 3 was the skull.
Marijuana.
I don't know. Well, anyway.
We should be really happy we don't remember because we're
right.
not part of this underbelly of disgustingness.
Anyway, it was clear that those tattoos... in the context of MS-13, were a reference to that. The doctored part, and I say that with quote fingers, the doctored part is just an additional explanation above it. The letter M, the letter S. And now the Democrats are trying, well, they're trying to say it's a cheap fake.
Yeah. Made up words.
Right, yeah. The 3 was the skull. A was...
Oh, it's a smiley face.
Smiley face.
MS is the smile.
That's right. Yeah,
yes.
Smile. Yeah, that's right.
That's
okay.
right. Well, I'm glad that had to be explained to us. That my brain has decided not to keep that bit of information in there.
That's true. Sometimes you're thrilled when you forget certain things.
Yes, that was an okay one to forget because I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah. So why are they still on this? Like I felt like, Julie, the last couple of weeks, okay, maybe they're letting the Abrego Garcia thing die. If you show who they are, you bring somebody in like Kristi Noem, and she's a triggering personality. Like there's a Noem derangement syndrome, mm-hmm. And I think, you know what? Trump triggers them. I think attractive conservative women trigger them too.
Oh, I believe that 100%.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a reason that as people rise in the ranks in the Democrat Party, mm-hmm. they somehow start to morph their physical appearance. We've seen Jasmine Crockett go to like extremes. Her nails are 4 inches long. She some bizarre clothing choices.
Yeah.
You can't just be a pretty black woman, right?
Yeah.
We saw this with Kamala Harris. It wasn't extremes. It was she insisted upon making herself not look feminine. Mm-hmm. Every pantsuit she wore was too big and ill-fitting. That was purposeful. It wasn't that something weird was going on. She was purposely choosing that so she didn't look feminine.
Yeah.
When you rise in the ranks of the Democrat Party, you have to change your appearance. You can't be a beautiful woman.
That's true. You're less likely to get promoted the more feminine you look. Mm-hmm.
She had plenty of money. She was wearing jewelry. She got a lot of flack for a necklace that she wore. It was like Cartier or something, several $1,000s, like a $20,000 necklace that she wore everywhere. Don't tell me she didn't have the money to have good clothes.
Yeah, it's true. She didn't get it on Temu. Although now it might cost
I could have taken her to H&M. I could have taken her to JCPenney and bought her better pantsuits.
Very much so. All right, we'll be back. It's 9:35 on News Talk 107.9.
Oh, Sydney just sent me a text. So that's my daughter-in-law. Mm-hmm. And she says, Ash sees you on Facebook and keeps saying, hi, Grandma.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool.
He's such a cute boy.
Grandkids are
He's a good little boy. The other thing about Swalwell and his BS meter is that he acts like that's some kind of a cool thing that you have to have a BS meter for a 3-year-old. 12-year-olds who babysit have a good enough BS meter for a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
Come on. Like he's some sort of cool dude that he has a BS meter for a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
We ask 12-year-olds to babysit 3-year-olds, and they do just fine. You're not some expert, Swalwell.
Yeah. No kidding. It's true. Some guy says he's not able to make an order, but I'm getting other orders. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, what else do we have? What did you think of the Malcolm Kenyatta audio calling out David Hogg?
First off, it's not really worth listening to. I sent it because how unmanly is the Democrat Party?
Yeah.
David Hogg is unmanly. That guy is unmanly. Tim Walz is unmanly. Pete Buttigieg is unmanly. Like, they're surrounded by these beta males.
Yeah.
I don't get it. And they're imploding from the inside.
Okay, but the Democrat Party has spent so much trying to demasculinize males.
Yeah. It's not winning. I don't know why they keep doing it.
No, it's not. It's not winning.
I would also contend that the Democrat Party is part of the resurgence of young men becoming Christian again. Yeah. There are specific data points out there where you can find women are moving away from Christianity. Specifically, young men are finding Christianity and sticking with it. I believe the Democrat Party is part of that.
Yeah. They're driving them to that.
They're pushing them to go, I do not want to be that kind of a man. I'm going to find something else.
Yeah. I think so. It's like the unwitting unintended outcome of their approach. So I don't know if we talk about this much on the air, but your thoughts on the Jefferson Ambulance District? I feel like they're growing so fast. It doesn't make sense anymore to pull it in from another.
I just don't see a downside to it.
Yeah.
If you really want to get into the numbers, I guess there would be a little bit of a downside. I don't see a downside to it for a lot of reasons. One, I think that when you embolden people to make something work, like the current employees, I think that breeds success. I think it's good.
Yeah.
Like if the voters tell these people, we believe in you, go get your certification. You have a year and a half. Let's make this work. I think that empowers the employees.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good recipe. I think they definitely need it out there. It's sprawling. Jefferson County, the neighborhoods are just...
Yeah.
Like, you drive past it and 6 months later, there's a brand new neighborhood.
I know. Yeah, I know.
If you are successful in banning fluoride, I noticed you congratulated Utah and Florida, I think, for banning it. That's up to them. They can do what they want. But we better put a lot more money into dental education because we're going to need a whole lot more dentists.
I think that, Marty McCary's concern with ingestible fluoride is that the emerging science shows the benefits to fluoride to caries and to cavity prevention comes from topical exposures rather than it was once thought that it was systemic, that if you ingested it, that the benefit came from that. We now know that virtually all the benefit is from topical, and we can get that through mouthwashes. We can get through fluoridated toothpastes.
Okay. All right. So you had Congressman Mike Simpson grilling not really grilling, but that was a tough question, and sort of I don't know if I'd call it a snarky point, but just saying, if you do this, if you're successful in banning fluoridated water systems, then you better spend more money on dental education because we're going to need more dentists. And I think our RFK Jr.'s reaction was a very grown-up one. He said, I'm not saying we shouldn't have fluoride. I'm saying we need to administer it differently because when you ingest it and it's in your body systemically, it has effects that you don't want. And a much more effective way to do it, your benefit comes from a topical, which is a mouthwash. You can do that with dental treatments. You can do it with mouthwashes. and other things. And then later on, I didn't play the whole clip, but Congressman Simpson was very respectful after that. He didn't continue to try and spar with him.
I was thinking about, we talked about this in the 6 o'clock hour because it's so relative to Idaho with Congressman Simpson. And I was thinking about when we would take fluoride when we were in elementary school. They would go around and squirt some milky liquid into a cup, and you were supposed to swish it for a certain amount of time, like they'd set a timer, and then you'd spit it out back into your cup, and then you throw it away. If the data is showing that a topical application is really the most beneficial, every kid sees a pediatrician. Almost every child. Why can't that just be part of a pediatric visit? A super hooty topical application at the end of the visit.
Yeah.
And then you just don't. And it could even be at the wellness visits and at a sick visit.
Yeah.
If you've got strep throat, you can put a topical application on teeth.
That's true. You can, and I'm sorry I don't know this. I should know this, but I use mouthwash for my breath. But can you go and get an off-the-shelf mouthwash that will provide fluoride?
Oh, I'm sure, because toothpaste does, and you can also get whitener in all of that. Whitener in mouthwash, whitener in...
Okay, so...
Yes.
People can take care of this for themselves, right? I mean, this is...
Yeah, I think their thought is Congressman Simpson, and I'm going to put words in his mouth here, based upon when we talked to him when he was here for an interview about a month or so ago. I believe that his thought process is that if it's in the water and you're getting a daily dose of it, every kid drinks water. Not every kid brushes their teeth, and not every kid...
Okay, but...
Yeah, goes to the dentist. So I think I would say, he says having it in the water is universal.
But, and I get that. It's broad application.
Yes.
But it really isn't, because, I grew up out in the county. We had a well. We're not fluoridating the aquifer.
Right.
So, and now, granted, most kids probably drink water from a municipal, city system where they do fluoridate the water. But you have, we're missing kids anyway. So I think we ought to approach it and just look at it as individualized application rather than hitting everything. I don't know. It feels like maybe there are better ways to get this done, especially if we have data that suggests there might be some negative impacts with just putting fluoride in the water.
Yeah. We didn't get a chance to read this text, but now is a perfect time to do it. We received a text that said, "Hey, just wanted to let you know, as a local physician in Pocatello, your comments and RFK's comments about fluoride are spot on. There are many pediatric dentists that also feel similarly."
Really?
Yes. So this local physician is saying that the pediatric dentists he interacts with don't agree with Congressman Simpson.
Okay, so there's difference of opinion within the dental community then.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to hear from dentists and dental hygienists. Text in. Okay, so I just asked ChatGPT. This is interesting. Which cities in Idaho put fluoride in their water? Now, keep in mind, it's ChatGPT. Sometimes it makes crap up, and sometimes it doesn't know things. Mm-hmm. But in Idaho, water fluoridation is relatively uncommon compared to national averages. As of 2022, only about 31% of Idaho's population served by community water systems received fluoridated water. We're not even getting a third.
Yeah.
Ranking the state 47th nationwide, which now Democrats are clutching their pearls. First, it's education funding. Now it's fluoride.
And porn in libraries that doesn't exist.
Right. Boise, they put fluoride in their water. Lewiston, Bonners Ferry, Lapwai, Mountain Home Air Force Base, and Riverside Independent Public Water Supply. Is that like Riverside out by Snake River, or is there a different Riverside in Idaho? That's the only Riverside I know of in Idaho. Anyway, I'll look that up too. That might be one of those things that ChatGPT made up.
Every place has a Riverside in it somewhere.
Yes. It's important to note some cities have discontinued fluoridation. For instance, Sandpoint ceased adding fluoride to its water supply in 2010 following public opposition. If you want to determine if your local water is fluoridated, I know how you do it. If the neighbor kids aren't that bright, it means your water's fluoridated, according to RFKG. Is that
sure?
Okay. All right. Let's go to the phones. 208-542-1079. Hi, caller. How are you today?
Good. My wife's a hygienist, dental hygienist, and I've talked to her about this topic, and she's on board with wanting fluoride in the water. And I don't know if it's something to do with the training, because she's been doing it for a little over 20 years. And so I don't know if it's something that they were pushing something back then. I tend to agree with what you guys are saying, that just to do the topical stuff. But I guess my point is just, is it something that was just taught years ago that this has to be done, or everyone's teeth is gonna fall apart?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
To back up what the caller is saying, I actually had that thought with Congressman Simpson. He went through dental school decades ago, and he hasn't practiced as a dentist.
That's true.
For a long time. So is it just potentially a firmware update that now there's new information, and the education that they received previously did not have that information available?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. We just got this text. It said fluoride only benefits the teeth while it remains in contact with the teeth. Totally makes sense, because when we were little, we had to sit there and swish for a certain amount of time. And RFK Jr. is saying the topical application is how it works. Okay. Then the text goes on and says, fluoridated water bypasses the teeth with ingestion. If you look at the instructions on prescription level sodium fluoride toothpaste, the instructions are very clear. Do not ingest.
Is that because of the fluoride, or are there other things in it that are not that good for you?
This texter says it's because of the fluoride. We'd have to do a deep dive on that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. You know what? For some reason in my mind, and this has to do with Neal's skewed perception of things, which is a big, big book. I thought every city put fluoride in their water. Like, I just assumed every city puts fluoride in their water because that's what cities do. It's run by bureaucrats who want to save the world and think they know better, so they just do these things. I'm actually encouraged by the fact that we only have not even 10 cities in Idaho, if ChatGPT is correct. And these are pretty specific numbers. 31% of Idaho's population, we're ranked 47th nationwide. I look at this and I'm like, okay, this is maybe better than than I thought.
Yeah, maybe we're sitting in a better place in Idaho than.
Yes.
I don't know. Look, our kids are facing lots of uphill battles, right? Culturally, it's clear the government has been lying to us about what is healthy for us. The food pyramid is a scam. You can't call it anything but at this point. That is settled, right? Just like I forever ago I said with COVID, it is settled that was not in bat soup. That was purposely leaked out and infected people. We just don't know who the exact bad guys were.
Yeah.
Okay, I believe the food pyramid is settled as well. It was government lobbyist driven in order for industries to make money, and we are currently suffering part of an obesity epidemic because of it.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to turn to the government to get my health advice.
No, they've been wrong on so many big issues. COVID, vaccines.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so why do we turn to big government bureaucrats to tell us, hey, how do I become healthy, when we have a massively big federal government and we're one of the fattest countries in the world?
Sure. I mean, and our health care.
Yeah.
We have great health care, but because of insurance premiums, you have to pay massively to get that health care.
I love that we're having this conversation as I sip my aspartame-laced Diet Mountain Dew.
I sent Neal a meme probably a couple days ago that said, Mountain Dew is the cigarettes of all soda, and I can't explain why, but it's true.
That's funny. I will defend it. I like it, and we don't want to besmirch any brand, but yeah.
There would be people like, I'm proud it's the cigarette of sodas.
I love it. We like that. Yeah. All right. 9:53 on News Talk 107.9. We'll come back. We'll wrap it up just ahead. Okay. Get a tongue scraper. Do you have a tongue scraper?
I don't have a tongue scraper, but I brush my tongue. I don't.
I brush my tongue too every time.
I don't have a strong gag reflex, so I can get in there. Like, it's fine.
I feel bad for people who gag at everything.
Yeah. The only thing that ever made me gag with little kids was poop in the bathtub, and I don't know what that was. I don't know. They could throw up in front of me. I could get down on the carpet and clean it up. Like it was all fine. I could change poopy diapers. My son has to still put his shirt over his nose as he changes his kids. And he changes them. He's a great dad. He changes them all the time. But he does put his shirt over his nose in order to get through it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But poop in the bathtub.
Yeah,
I don't know what that one was. That was just too far for me.
For me, it wasn't that gross if it was my kids that did it.
Your wife is so proud of you.
Just kidding. Come on, that was funny. Oh, my.
By the time I had Marley, and I knew she was my last one, because you don't birth a 2.5-pound kid and keep having kids.
Yeah.
Like if a onesie got poop on it.
Yeah.
There was garbage can. I was not cleaning poop off of anything. It was done.
You weren't. Yeah, there was no. Yeah. Okay. Let's do our last town and country for the day.
This is how much time do we have?
About a minute.
This is funny because I think people are misunderstanding the fluoride conversation. No one is saying that the fluoride in the water system isn't going to have a benefit to the teeth. That's not what RFK Jr. is arguing. He's arguing that the topical application is a better benefit without the negative effects of it harming the brain.
Right.
No one's saying the fluoride application in the water is not good for the teeth.
Yeah, he's not saying kids don't need fluoride. He's saying
yes,
the way we're giving it to kids is wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they can. All right, 9:57 on News Talk 107.9. So here's what you do. You drive on the South Yellowstone Highway, and right across from the Budweiser plant, don't turn into the plant. You can't get beer there anyway. Turn to the west into Town and Country Gardens.
You can't get beer there either, though.
No, but you can get something much, much better for your mental well-being, and that is all of your lawn and garden needs. You can get the 4-step lawn program. You can get flowers. You can get vegetables. You can get mulch. You can get whatever you need.
Trees,
roses,
potted plants.
Yeah, they've got it all. I actually, you know what I did, Julie? I hope I'm not too late. I bought some jalapeno seeds, and so I need to plant those so I can get the jalapenos going. But they in that main room, and I usually I like to go to the backyard because it's just so
beautiful.
Cool. But all their seeds are up front, and they're very, very affordable. Like it was like 99 cents for the seeds that they package. And so, the quality's great. So I grabbed that, and I'm looking forward to planting some jalapenos.
I've heard those grow like crazy.
Yeah,
you should do really great with those.
Yeah, well, let's hope so, and I'll add that to the salsa.
Yeah, visit them. Tell them we sent you.
All right, South Yellowstone Highway across from the Budweiser plant. That's going to do it for the show today. Julie and I will be back tomorrow with a Friday edition right here on News Talk 107.9.